First You Think is a not-for-profit ministry of the First Unitarian Church of Des Moines. Support us at ucdsm.org today.
Once upon a time, while Fox was visiting Christmastown in the land of holiday treats, a little cookie, still warm from the bakery oven, burst out the front door and shouted,
"I'm a sweet cookie!"
Wow! Hello to you too. And since you brought it up, you do look sweet.
Of course. Run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the Sugar Cookie Man.
Fox never was one to resist a challenge or a chase. He shouted back,
You look very sweet, sweet enough to eat.
Just try to eat me. Run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the Sweet Cookie Man.
Oh, Fox was pretty fast, and he loved sweets. But when he caught up and bit into Cookie, he spat him out immediately.
You taste awful.
How dare you? I'm a sugar cookie. I taste wonderful.
Sorry to break it to you, my little friend, but you taste terrible. Plus, I think I just broke my tooth. You are one tough cookie.
Cookie's face fell.
Wait, I'm not supposed to be like this.
Well, don't cry. Maybe you just need some sweetening up.
You think so?
Worth a try.
So after a quick trip to the dentist to fix Fox's tooth, they went to the Christmastown spa. The elves dipped Cookie in delicious eggnog, sprinkled him with powdered sugar, and sang sugary sweet Christmas carols. Could you sing with me? We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Fox gave Cookie a lick, but he still tasted terrible.
Maybe it's not sweetness. You said you were fast. Let's work on your running instead.
Fox signed Cookie up for the Sweet Treat Christmas race that afternoon. But Cookie's stubby legs and lack of experience made it impossible for him to keep up with the other runners, no matter how hard he tried.
Run as fast as you can!
Cookie came in last place. Exhausted and defeated, Cookie sighed.
Maybe I'm not cut out for anything.
Nonsense! Every treat in Christmastown can build a gingerbread house. You can too. I'll help.
They picked a nice spot in the gated community of Cookie Cutter and started building. But when Cookie went inside his new house, it crumbled to pieces. And that's when Cookie crumbled too.
I can't even build a gingerbread house. Everything I do is half-baked.
Don't give up, my little cookie. We will figure this out. You just have to hang in there.
Hang in there?
Oh, why not hang with us? Said a voice. Cookie turned to see a group of ornaments smiling at him. What do you say? One asked. It all made sense to Cookie.
Wait, you're Christmas ornaments. That means I am too.
Of course you are, silly. You're not like other cookies. You're special. You were baked with glue and salt, with a little hole for a ribbon. Cookie finally knew that what he was made of, and he couldn't have been happier. That afternoon, he hung with the care from the biggest Christmas tree in the park, with the sweetest view in town. Overjoyed, Cookie shouted for all the world to hear.
Look at me! Look at me! You can't catch me! I'm an ornament on the tree!
Fox grinned and said,
Make some room up there for me, Cookie.
He never could resist a challenge.
One night, many years ago, on a Christmas Eve, much like tonight, I was working alone in the veterinary hospital. One of my patients was a very sick and old camel. So I took out my stethoscope to listen to her heart. And then I heard something really unusual. It was like a voice. Somebody was talking to me, but I knew that I was all alone. And so I looked around and couldn't find anybody. And then I looked in the stall where the camel was, and she was looking at me, and she began to speak. Before I die, I want to tell you the story of Shedalite and Balthasar. My mother told me this story when she was old, and my grandmother told it to her, and my great-grandmother. Well, you get the idea. All the way back to my ancestral grandmother, the very Shedalite camel told the story before he died. Will you please listen to this story? I agreed, and thinking it was going to be a long story, I went into the stall to make myself comfortable in the hay. My name is Shedalite, and I'm a very old camel. But I wasn't always like this. I was the pride of my owner, Balthasar. He treated me so well, as he should, because I was a great white camel. I was fast and slender and fleet of foot, and I could run through the desert for a week without water and a month without food. I knew I could do this, although he never asked me to. Until one day, he came to me with all my bags loaded and threw them on my hump. 400 pounds, which even that was a lot for me. And then he pulled on my reins, and my reins, they went through a nose ring that I used to have, and it hurt when he pulled on them, but I got up anyway, and he jumped upon my back, and he smacked me really hard with his cane, boom, and off we went through the desert, running and running all day, and then all night, and then in the morning we came to the great crossroads that led to many lands, and there were 2 camels and 2 riders waiting for us. I was still mad at my owner, but I felt a little bit better because I was such a better camel than they were. But I got mad again because he only gave me an hour to rest. And he came over and he pulled on the reins and I didn't get up. He pulled on the reins again and I bellowed at him. And finally I had to get up, but that was it. I was done. I was not going anywhere. And I looked at him and I tried to kick him and I had cut in my mouth. I was going to spit at him if he got within range, but he never gave me a clear shot. And then he threw an old shirt at me. And I saw that shirt and I kicked it and I spit at it. It's an old camel trick to throw a shirt at a camel. I knew that. It helps calm them down, and it worked. So I led him on my back, and we went running off with the other 2 camels across the desert, going west, with no rest, for days and nights, with very little water and very little food, and my hump began to sag. And I did not think I could go one step further when finally the journey ended. We came to a small town late at night, and I was sure there wasn't going to be any place to sleep, no food or water, but there was this strange light all over the town. And he was able to lead me into a stable. And there was a manger, and where there's mangers, there's food and water. And I put my nose into the manger, and there was a baby, a human child in the manger. And I cringed, waiting for my master to hit me. But he was not looking at me. He was looking at the child. And so was everybody else in the stable. It was packed with shepherds and innkeepers and servants and shopkeepers. And the light was enough that I could see that where my master's face had been hard and pinched, it was now soft. he got up and he mumbled for me to follow him. And we went to a corner in the stable, and he made the softest bed of hay. I didn't even need the calluses on my knees. And he brought me food and water before he ate and drank. And once he was sure I was comfortable, he went back to be with the child. I tell you, it was a miracle. He had never treated me as well as then. And it wasn't just him, it was everybody in the stable and their animals too. We stayed for days together. It was so wonderful. We ate and drank and slept, and my hump stirred back up. It was the best of days. And then one day I saw him packing up my bags again. And I said, oh, it's time to go home. But they were much lighter this time, and he put them on my back. And then he reached over and he took that painful ring out of my nose and put it away and placed a soft halter onto my face and led me out of town, walking beside me. And on that long journey home, he walked as much as he rode me. He has treated me so well ever since. I grew to love him and him me. I don't know what changed us, but I think it had something to do with that child and the light. The light showed me that we can treat each other differently. So I'm an old camel, but that light is still with me. So I am here to tell you and anyone who listens to have hope, because there is another way that we can be with each other, and that is with love.
So this Christmas, we are especially looking at that story from the Gospel of Matthew of the Magi, the three kings, the wise men and or women, the astrologers. Laura Kim has imagined the perspective of one of their camels. Three wise ones see a star, a sign. Matthew does not tell us their names, but legends growing up around the story identify the three as Balthazar, Melchior, and Caspar. The three see a sign of hope, of possibility, a sign of liberation from oppression. Did they agree on its meaning? Did they have different expectations or hopes of what they might find when they followed that star? The story invites us to ask ourselves, what signs do we discern in this uncertain time? What are the signs of what may be? And what star shall you follow? We are all cast in the role of magi. We are all tasked with being wise folk, cultivating wisdom and hearkening to what stars there may be, the signs, as best we can. The old joke is that if the so-called three wise men had in fact been three wise women, then they would have asked directions. They would have arrived on time. They would have helped deliver the baby. They would have cleaned the stable and made a casserole. They would have brought practical gifts like diapers and new swaddling clothes. I mean, what's a baby going to do with myrrh? Actually, studies in fact show that men do ask for directions about as often as women do, and according to one study, 20% sooner. In any case, there probably were some women among the Magi. That is, the author of the Matthew Gospel, let us call him Matthew, he was an unknown Greek-speaking Israelite, probably had in mind that there were women Magi, and Matthew's original audience would have assumed it. First of all, Matthew probably wasn't thinking that there were just three. It's popular to think that there were three because they brought three gifts, gold, frankincense, and myrrh, but it could have been any number of magi. Some Christian traditions celebrate 12 magi and give them all names, though others stick with Balthazar, Melchior, and Caspar. All that we know is that there was more than one, since Matthew does use the Greek plural magoi, that plural could have referred to a group of all men or to a mixed group of men and women. Also, Matthew and his original audience would have well known another story in the Bible, another time when gifts of gold and spices are given to a king. And in that story, the king was King Solomon, and the giver of those gifts was, wait for it, the Queen of Sheba. In other words, for the Hebrew people, gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh would have been associated with a powerful woman as the giver. And another thing, it was Israelite custom to personify wisdom as a woman. For example, Proverbs 9 says, "Wisdom has built her house. She has hewn her 7 pillars." And in Sirach 24, wisdom praises herself and tells of her glory in the midst of her people. In the assembly of the Most High, she opens her mouth, and in the presence of his hosts, she tells of her glory. Wisdom is personified as a woman, so Matthew's reference to wise magi connotes some feminine presence. But the best reason for thinking that Matthew had women magi in mind, and that his original audience would have understood that, is this one. The Middle Eastern tradition was that women were never left alone in the presence of an unrelated man without other women around. The text reads, "On entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they knelt down and paid him homage." An all-male cohort of magi would not have entered if Mary was going to be the only woman inside. And so you see, the Christmas story does put us all in the role of magi, in the role of discerning the signs, the role of reading the indications of hope. Signs, though, are problematic. Another thing, how exactly do you follow a star? A star just stays ahead of you. Matthew says, when they saw that the star had stopped, they were overwhelmed with joy. But how does a star stop? It would have to have been a beacon of light hovering maybe 50 feet off the ground, anything a mile or more up, and you wouldn't have been able to tell from the ground exactly what the star was over. The signs you see, are they stars or are they beacons, and how can you tell what they really mean? Life presents signs. Reading them is up to you. And if you can't be sure you're reading them right, the flip side is no one can tell you for sure that you're reading them wrong. We are all magi making our way across that desert. It is a long journey. The day of Epiphany, the day when, according to legend, the Magi arrived for their brief visit with baby Jesus, is celebrated on January 6th. So if they first saw the star when Jesus was born, it took them 12 days to get there. And we are on a long journey of faith, crossing a spiritual frontier, seeking out new wisdom, new compassion, drawn forward by faith on a trek to grow and deepen our faith. It's a long trek, and it's following a star. Why, that would make it a Star Trek. Faith, the spiritual frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Incarnation. Its ongoing mission, to explore the strangeness of each new moment, to seek out new wisdom and new compassion, to boldly embody more love and more joy than we have before. Oh, that's just the start. Captain's log, stardate 000.0. Captain James T. Balthazar of the United Federation Magi class starship Incarnation. As part of a program to develop relations between the Federation and Klingon Empire, we've begun sharing astronomical data. Our sensors picked up anomalous activity from a star in the Jerusalem system, and the readings were routinely forwarded as per agreement to both Federation and Klingon research outposts. I thought nothing more of it until...
Captain, I've been performing preliminary analysis of the anomalous star. The readings correspond to those predicted in Klingon prophecy. They believe that such a star signals the birth of a child who will bring peace to the galaxy.
Well, that would be nice, and it sounds harmless.
We're being hailed!
Let me guess, it's the Klingons.
Yes, sir.
On screen.
Captain, I am the Klingon Viceroy Herod. Those anomalous readings from a star in the Jerusalem system. We must request that you investigate.
Must you?
We are on our way ourselves, but it will take us 3 days, and you are 6 hours from there at maximum warp.
And what is it that we're looking for? What is the urgent need to follow yonder star?
That will become clear.
Viceroy, you think that on one of the planets near that star, a certain child has been born.
You know our legends, Captain. Please, go and search diligently for the child. And when you have found her, send us word so that we may also go and pay her homage.
He's gone. Klingons. We don't take orders from Klingons. But on the other hand, perhaps we could do them this small favor in a spirit of improving relations. What do you think, number one?
Captain, the star has a unique radiation that spiked about an hour ago. The radiation could have an effect on the genetic makeup of a child being born at the precise moment of the spike.
What kind of effect?
The science is no clearer than the Klingon legends. It could make the child become an extraordinary spiritual teacher, an embodiment of love and peace, or a judgmental thunderer, a visionary, an ironclast, a healer, an advocate of income redistribution, who doesn't like money changers at the temple, a revolutionary who ends the oppression of her people, or a teller of paradoxal parables.
Sounds like we may have our own reasons for checking this out. Lay in a course for the Jerusalem system.
Yes, and Captain, I've just got a message that Captain Melchior of the starship Frankincense and Captain Caspar of the starship Myrrh will be joining us.
Those are also Magi-class starships. We will be in good company.
Captain, whatever we may find, it's likely that the Klingons regard this birth as a threat.
That's just what I was thinking, number one. If she's a revolutionary that leads her people out of oppression, it's the Klingons themselves who might be seen as the oppressor.
And if she brings peace to the galaxy, the Klingons may have feared that even more. Peace would be a disaster for them. The entire Klingon economy is based on war. They want to find and kill this babe so that doesn't happen.
Viceroy Herod wants us to lead him right to the child.
Captain.
No, we're going. We'll just need to cover our tracks.
Leave for our own country by another road.
If that's a metaphor for jettisoning our transponders so we can't be tracked, then...
Yes?
Then make it so, number one.
Aye, aye, sir.
I will inform Captains Melchior and Caspar and recommend they do the same. Captain's log, stardate 0007.5. The strange star in the Jerusalem system had only one inhabited planet. It wasn't long before we located the babe. I have to say that she had quite an effect on me. Her clear eyes were like phasers set on stun. It made me want to give her things. I wanted to have our replicators make gold to give her. Melchior and Caspar were ready to give her their starships, frankincense and myrrh. And they likely would have if they could, but more than that, time in her presence made me want to give what I had, not just to her, but to anybody, to everybody. We beamed mother and father and child aboard, and we carried them to a planet where the Klingons won't find them. We took her to the planet Vulcan, and they'll make sure the young family is cared for, and the child gets the training that she'll need if she is to be the savior of the galaxy.